Hey everybody, this is Seth from ScreaminFX. Today I'm going to show you how to fix your wah and fuzz so that they work really well together. I really like to put my wah first, but you get a terrible oscillation if it's not set up right, which sounds just like this. If you set it up correctly, you can remove this oscillation. And you can get a huge sweep from your wah that sounds like this. So here's a quick outline of this video. First I'm going to talk about why does this occur, and then I'm going to talk about methods to fix it. The first method is to put a cheap buffer, like a Boss pedal that's turned off in between your wah and fuzz. The next I'm going to show is a buffer pedal that's specifically designed to work between your wah and fuzz. I actually designed and made up my own circuit for the Clarionix buffer. The next option is that I'm going to show you could buy pedals that you already know that works great with a wah and fuzz. An example I'm going to talk about is the 1954 fuzz, which is one I designed, but there are others out there. For instance, I know that the Big Muff pedal really works okay. The next option is that you can buy a wah that is known to work with a fuzz face type fuzz. They are out there, you just have to kind of look for them, and basically they have an extra circuit at the end that matches the impedance. Then finally, I'm just going to do a quick myth busting. I heard that Hendrix would put a really long cord between his wah and fuzz, and that actually does not work for me, so check that out at the end. So remember to subscribe if you like the movies, and thanks for watching. The first part to talk about is why does this problem actually occur? And what happens is the output impedance of your wah-wah pedal and the input impedance of your fuzz face or fuzz pedal actually aren't quite correct. And so what I mean by that is they're not correct because when they're put together, they actually form a resonant circuit. And what a resonant circuit does is it slowly builds up, and then it causes an oscillation. And an oscillation is just that screeching sound that you hear when this pedal is in the wrong position. The best way to fix this is to put something in between the two, and that's usually just a simple buffer. And when you do that, it changes the impedance so that now these two pedals work together. The first way, and probably the cheapest way to fix the wah fuzz problem, is to put something with a buffer in between your wah and your fuzz. And in this case, the reason it's cheap is because we all usually have one of these old Boss pedals laying around that we don't use. And a Boss pedal, even when it's turned off, has a buffer in there that's always on. And so the pedal's turned off, the buffer's on, and what that does is it fixes the impedance between the wah and the fuzz. So let's take a look and see what that sounds like now. Okay, so you could hear that it fixes a lot of the oscillations, but not quite all of it. And so now when the wah was in the toe down position, you still got a little more oscillation, but it wasn't as bad as the first one. And the big difference here is that now with that buffer in between the two pedals, you actually get a really good wah sweep, and you can really hear what your wah sounds like. You just get that really good wah-wah. And the thing to remember is that that Boss pedal was actually in the off position. So now I'll show you a quick interesting thing. If you turn that Boss pedal on, the problem is that that pedal actually messes up the input and the way the fuzz sounds. So here, check that out. So that's probably the quickest and the cheapest fix, is to use a pedal that you have laying around that has a buffer in it. You could even try other pedals in turned on position, but these Boss pedals usually work pretty well when they're turned off, and just stick it in there, and even if you don't use the pedal, you've got it in there to fix your wah and fuzz. The next method to fix this is to use a buffer pedal that's designed specifically to go between your wah and your fuzz. I figured out my own circuit, which actually works really well to put between the two, and you can tune it to make your fuzz sound the best with your wah. So first what we'll do is have it where it's set right. now I have the buffer turned all the way up to 10, and what you can hear is it messes up the sound of the fuzz, similar to how the Boss pedal did. But what you could do is actually turn this down to get your fuzz to sound just right. And with that set correctly, that's how you get that great wah fuzz sound. The next method is to use a fuzz pedal that you know already works really well with the wah-wah. So for this example, what I'm going to show is the 1954 fuzz, and that's something I designed and built specifically to work really well with the wah and also to really clean up nicely. You can find out which fuzzes work by just searching the internet, do a Google search or check the gear page or something and see if people know if that wah and fuzz actually oscillates or not. Or you could email the manufacturer, and so they should be able to tell you whether or not that's going to oscillate. Something to check into, and then you'll know for sure. What I have in this 1954 fuzz is a specifically designed buffer that you could turn off if you don't want, and it's true bypass to take it out. And if you turn it on, it adds the buffer in, and just like that Clarionix pedal, it makes the wah work really well with the fuzz. So here, let's check that out. To bust that myth, what happens if you put a really long cord in between your wah and your fuzz to try to make the impedance match and see if it works better? The final method that I didn't really talk a lot about is that you can buy wahs and you can look for a wah that's specifically designed to work with your fuzz. It's a little different. I was thinking most people already have a wah and a fuzz that aren't working together, and so it's just some options that you could put in between them to make it work. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you want to see more tips and tricks, and thanks very much for watching.